What's up? It's Mike, and guess who just got out of gaming opinion jail? This guy. Turns out all you needed to do was tell the guards that you liked Majora's Mask over Ocarina of Time. It was fun in there for about 5 months, but while I was in there, I wrote down a bucket list of things that I just had to do when I got out of prison, and I got it right here. I don't have a whole lot to do. The Game Boy Advance has become something that I've been admittedly a little obsessed with recently. In the span of the last time I talked about the Game Boy Advance, my game collection went from this to this, and even my device collection doubled too. Oh, don't worry about how much money I spent on this, because I certainly don't. To be entirely honest, I'm not sure why this handheld juggernaut from 2001 has now in the year 2022 so thoroughly engrossed me. I've used this hunk of plastic way more since the last time I spoke on it as well, so this video is going to be a more comprehensive look at the Game Boy Advance as a whole. Compared to last time though, there won't be a dedicated section of this video to reviewing each of the games in my collection, or else we'd be here for slightly longer than we would otherwise. The Game Boy Advance has a short but interesting history, with the initial reveal of something called Project Atlantis, a report found in several gaming magazines throughout the year 1996. With Nintendo's expectation of release later that year in the report, some believed it to be the Game Boy Color when that launched. However, the system in the report was described as having a 32-bit processor, a 3x2 aspect ratio screen, and a link cable port, with all of those specs matching up to what would eventually become the Game Boy Advance. The project wasn't waterproof though, so when it was permanently suspended in 1997, no one expected otherwise. A couple years plus one later, and on September 1st, 1999, Nintendo officially revealed the Game Boy Advance, talking specs and how it could connect online via a cellular device. If I had a nickel for every time I was lied to about the Game Boy Advance being able to connect to a cellular device, I'd be fucking poor. So yeah, that internet connection was a load of shit, but at least it had a backlit screen, right? Right? This is playable. This was seriously the biggest downfall with the original GBA. The fact that you could only play it outside. You wouldn't get the privilege of playing your Game Boy Advance indoors without one of those funky worm lights until 2003 with the release of the Game Boy Advance SP. The SP in Game Boy Advance SP either meant special or stupid people. I'm personally team stupid people. This revision came with a slew of differences, including a rechargeable battery, a completely different, more vertical design, and even a solution to the screen issue. Well, kinda. There were two different models of the GBA SP, one being model number AGS001, which was the launch model and only came with a front-lit screen, which basically just meant that there was a light on the bottom of the screen that lit up the rest of the screen from there. Unfortunately, this didn't make the screen too much brighter. While it certainly helped, it wasn't until a later revision of the revision, the AGS101, where we finally got a backlit screen on a Nintendo handheld. The GBA had a completely different form factor from the original GBA, with a clamshell design that was completely plagiarized from the Donkey Kong Game & Watch handheld. How dare they? They even stole the D-pad. Have they no shame? Regardless, while the clamshell design, screen improvements, and hyper-portable nature of the device were definitely points in its favor, it's a little uncomfortable to play on. The shoulder buttons are laughably tiny, and the overall feel was just kind of cramped. Welcome to the Game Boy Advance, where you can either shoot yourself in the eyes or in the hands. At least your feet are safe. The buttons are very nice and clicky, but again, everything's just really close together. You may be thinking, or shouting if that's what you're into, what about the Game Boy Advance Micro? To which I'll reply, okay, fine, it's probably small. I've never gotten to play around with one, but I'll say right off the bat, it could never be my go-to GBA due to the fact that it completely removes backwards compatibility with Game Boy and Game Boy Color games, and any system that can't play golf is one I don't want to use. And that says a lot, because it's fucking golf. So it's between the ability to see what you're playing on the GBA SP and being able to play without extreme hand cramps on the original GBA. But what if you could combine the two and put a lit display in an original GBA body? Well, all it takes is a little witchcraft or $250 on Etsy. Whichever's easier to stomach. Welcome to the world of Game Boy Advance mods, a scary place where you can actually play your entire Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance library comfortably on original hardware, as long as you can make poor spending decisions or not light your house on fire with a soldering iron. Just before I get into mods, I do want to make a point that I don't think I stressed anywhere near enough in my original Game Boy Advance episode, and I think it ties neatly into the discussion of mods and why you would want to play on original hardware in the first place. Let me tell you a little story, and like all good stories, epics, or novellas, it all starts with WarioWare Inc. Mega Micro games. I gotta come clean, when I first played this game, I played it on an emulator. And you know I'm serious about this, I literally just got out of prison. I played it then because I saw it on a top 10 GBA games list somewhere and I figured I'd try it out because I never heard of it before. I played it on my laptop and while I thought it was kinda cool, I never ended up beating it or even getting close to that. I don't even think I made it halfway. Later in my long and extremely boring life, I sold my old 3DS after getting a new 3DS and put that money towards getting a GBA SP. And the games I got with it were WarioWare and Tetris because they were the cheapest ones I could find. When I hopped in my bed and popped WarioWare in my GBA SP and started playing, something just clicked for me. I went from playing 2 levels on my PC and never touching it again to completely beating the game in one playthrough. And I attribute this largely to finally being able to fully appreciate the game for what it is on the Game Boy Advance. Emulators truly don't do any Game Boy, Game Boy Color, or Game Boy Advance games justice. To me, it's a wildly different experience that can't be understated. It also started my addiction, so you can interpret that as a good thing or not. My wallet may know, but I sure as hell don't. With all of that out of the way, let's talk about some really cool mods. To showcase a couple of them, I'll use my personal Game Boy Advance, which I bought pre-modded because of the whole burning house down possibility. This bad boy comes with a bunch of improvements that honestly bring it right in line with a modern day handheld, with a beautiful backlit screen with several brightness options, a much louder speaker, and even a USB-C rechargeable battery. All things to just take the Game Boy Advance experience to the next level while keeping the integrity of the original form factor. But that is far from all the crazy and super cool mods that are out there for you to try, or at least binge Macho Nacho Productions videos for. There's hundreds of customizable shells and buttons. You can mount an HDMI output into it to your TV. You can add wireless charging and Bluetooth audio to a Game Boy Advance SP. Hell, you can turn your GBA into a home console if you want to. That kind of defeats the entire purpose of it being a handheld console, but hey, if you want to, you can. Honestly, feels like the sky's the limit when it comes to Game Boy Advance and Game Boy Advance SP mods. The Game Boy Advance scene is as bright and active as ever, and this can be attributed to the amazing game library, not you, that the Game Boy Advance can draw from. From amazing RPGs like Mario & Luigi's Superstar Saga and Sword of Mana, to the plethora of great platformers like the Mario Land and Mario Advance series, the Sonic Advance series, and even ones like Donkey Kong 94 and Mario vs. Donkey Kong. There are so many awesome experiences on the Game Boy Advance. You could even play the aforementioned WarioWare, whatever the fuck genre that is. One of the coolest things I've ever collected are boxed Game Boy Advance games. Looking through the different inserts and reading through the manuals is like going through a time capsule. And it wasn't until I read the manual for Yoshi's Island that I figured out the game had a built-in sleep mode that turns the screen off but keeps the game going. Like, how cool is that? It doesn't take a lot to please me. In fact, tons of GBA games actually have this built-in sleep mode that I'd never heard about before, including Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga and Mario Advance 2 and 4. And to think, I wouldn't have known about any of this if I didn't spend $80 on essentially cardboard and a couple of pieces of paper. Now, do I recommend buying Game Boy Advance games complete in box? Yeah, I don't need surgery anyways. Complete in box GBA games are expensive, like eye-wateringly expensive. Buying the cartridge by itself is significantly cheaper, but you definitely miss out on a bit of the experience. You can also just leave the cartridges laying around, but that's not exactly an efficient system of organization once your collection starts to grow and you want to play a specific game. Well, that's where reproduction boxes come into play. And there's a couple of options out there. There are tons of them on sites like eBay and Etsy, but one thing you can do completely at home is use old DS cases that have this little GBA cartridge slot. You can print out your own cover art to adorn it, but I would still recommend using a professional printing method if you don't think your own printer will cut it. Another option I've tried are these mini boxes, replication boxes that are extremely shrunk down that I got off the website miniboxgaming.com that take up significantly less space than an actual GBA box. You can definitely fit a cartridge in one, but to me they're just a bit too small for my taste. Okay, I may have bought something from a website called miniboxgaming.com, but I still don't think it would be this small. I think I'll sue. Although the original boxes are my preferred way to display these games, if the price ever gets too wonky, then a DS case with the cover art printed out should do the trick. The dimensions are similar to that of a GBA case, it'll hold up longer over time, and as long as you don't look too closely at the print job, from a distance, the cover art still looks really good. The Game Boy Advance is an amazing handheld device, especially in today's day and age where everything seems to need an update here and there. Even the 3DS still needs to update a game every once in a while. Being able to just pop in a game from 3 generations worth of handhelds and being able to take it with you on the go with insane battery life, the GBA holds up more than well enough in the present day. But there's just one issue I have. Just one little thing I haven't mentioned yet. They fucked up Miss Pac-Man. How do you fuck up Miss Pac-Man?